first thing we want to do, or rather I want to do, is to sort of give an update of the things that we have done since the last time when we were together in Ginger, and then and also discuss what we are going to do from here going on forward. Yeah, we kind of set up an email address, and we decided one of the things that we wanted to do before we started the society was to ensure that that the people who are responsible for the society, which is me and you, owned it. And so we had like 2 weeks of incessant feedback. What do you guys want? What do you want it to look like? All that. And so one of the things that was very pertinent is that you wanted us to have very clear objectives as to what the society is going to do. And then after having those objectives, we were tasked with the responsibility of coming up with the constitution. Members felt that it was easier that the ad hoc committee comes up with that draft constitution, from which now we were going to sit down and critique it, because this constitution is going to form the basis, or it's going to be the framework from which we operate. So Brian, he's not here. Brian Vita, he's a legal officer. He's a lawyer actually. He's also an EMT. He was the one who led us into making this constitution. If you are on the WhatsApp group, then you know that I've shared it on that platform. And then so he came up with it, and then we shared it yesterday. And so one of the main agendas is to discuss it. I will be pointing out the specific things that we need to discuss and agree on. So that's the first agenda of the meeting. And then also in between August and today, I am pleased to say that we have documents that we are going to deposit at the Office of the Registrar of Societies that is going to register us as the Emergency Care Society of Kenya. So that process of registration at the Registrar's office is currently going to start on Monday, and I'm sure by Friday we will be registered as a society by the government of Kenya. So before that, that's pretty much what we've done. So we have a draft constitution now, and we also have our registration that should be complete by Friday at the government offices. So I don't know what. So how many of us, by show of hands, have at least perused the constitution? Because I shared it on the group, on the WhatsApp group. Maybe a better question would be, how many of us are on the WhatsApp group? 1, 2, 3, 4. So just 4. Okay. So for the rest of us, this is the first time we are hearing about a constitution, yeah? Okay, so
I think we'll just go through it. It's one of the agendas, so that guys can have a view of what we've drafted. Then, because this is among the things we need to deposit to the society as a constitution. So it's good that before we even take it there, that people who actually have attended the meeting and have an idea of what the constitution is, and we can discuss about it. And also, for the guys who are not on the WhatsApp group, we also have a Telegram group. Because the WhatsApp group can only take 251 and 255.
Yeah.
So the same is shared on the Telegram. So we will share the link, and then you guys can also join the Telegram group to discuss more. So I think we'll just go through it, and then we can highlight some of the issues that are being discussed. Then if you guys have any additions or comments, we'll note them, and then we can amend them before we deposit the constitution.
Particular areas of interest that we need to really thrash out would be our objectives as a society. And one of the things that we discussed, and I think that Professor Washira rightly pointed out during the last conference, was that we are an association, we are a society, we are not a union, neither are we a political party. So the lawyer who drafted this was very keen to let me know that as we're going through these objectives, we should ensure that nothing to do with advocacy or politics or things to do with the political nature take precedence. So maybe we'll bear that in mind as we go through. So Article 1 is the name. So the name of the organization is Emergency Care Society of Kenya, which shall be cited in short as ECSK and or the society. The constitution shall be cited as Emergency Care Society of Kenya Constitution 2019. So I think with each article I will indulge you. So any views on Article 1? The Emergency Care Society of Kenya, that was decided in Ginger, and that was because we wanted to incorporate any cadre, anyone who was interested in emergency care, and that's why we left it open. So is it inclusive enough? Do we agree? So can I go with silence means consent? So yeah, okay, so then Article 2, objects, which is objectives. So I will correct that. So what do we want the society to do for the members of the Emergency Care Society of Kenya? The purpose of Emergency Care Society of Kenya is to bridge the gap in offering capacity building, technical assistance, operational research, professional development programs, emergency care system development, and related matters. In pursuit of this purpose and without prejudice to the generality of the foregoing provision, the objectives of Emergency Care Society of Kenya are Article 2.1, to promote capacity building and technical assistance in emergency medical care for the members of Emergency Care Society of Kenya. As such, the Emergency Care Society of Kenya shall, among others, create emergency medical care forums for networking, mentorship, team building, and collaboration for our members. Article 2.12, to encourage the growth and development of our members in the emergency care discipline through emergency care fellowships, training, grants, scholarships, exchange programs, among other personal and professional development programs. 2.13, promote, conduct, and disseminate operational research and publication into emergency medical care in order to build a body of knowledge in emergency care and enhance the capacities of our members. 2.14, undertake collective social responsibility initiative that engage our members in promoting community-based emergency care and service delivery. And then our second objective was to promote professional recognition of our outstanding members through the issue of honors and awards that motivate the members and bring honor to their service, to form branches for the efficient administration of the society, to take or cause to be taken any further actions that are necessary to achieve our purpose and objects in accordance with the laws of Kenya and Emergency Kenya Society of Kenya Constitution 2019, provided that the objects of the society shall be non-political and non-profit. So that is what we set out to do. And that was, a lot of this was borrowed from what Professor Washira had told us at the conference, what a society should do. It should be the authority of emergency care and also be the reference point of emergency care in Kenya. I don't know whether that reflects what we intend to do as a society. Any additions, subtractions, critics? Now is the time.
I think it's pretty elaborate.
Yes.
It does specify what we want to be, and more importantly, what we do not want to be.
Yes.
I think it's pretty elaborate.
Yeah. Okay. Anything, especially things that have been left out? Okay. Again, I will go. But if you feel, or if something comes to mind, please feel free to interrupt. But for now, I'll take it that silence means consent. Now, membership. This is objective Article 2 and 3 were, this is possibly one of the things that we really need to critique, so I hope to be getting more views on this. This was just views of four to five people. So what membership categories and fees do we want? So Article 3.1 was general provision of membership. So membership to Emergency Care Society of Kenya shall be voluntary and open to all persons in the emergency medical care discipline who are above 18 years and interested in advancing and realizing the purpose and objectives of the society as set out in this constitution. Then 3.312, all membership shall be subjected to the approval of the National Executive Committee of Emergency Care Society of Kenya and in accordance with the terms of this constitution, provided that the National Executive Committee of Emergency Care Society of Kenya reserves the right to define the qualifications of memberships from time to time and to admit any person into the membership of the society. So then we went on to define the main types of membership shall include. So the first category is an ordinary member. An ordinary member is any person who has been admitted into Emergency Care Society of Kenya. His or her name appears on the register of members, has paid all rates, dues, and subscriptions, and is willing to subscribe and be bound by this constitution. Then 322 is a student member, and this we described as any person currently enrolled in an emergency care program in Kenya that has been recognized by the National Executive Committee. 323 is an honorary member, which is any person or organization with outstanding prominence that has made significant contributions to the field of emergency care, undertaken acts of philanthropy or investment in emergency care, can be admitted as an honorary member on the terms provided by the society. And then a sustaining member is any person or organization that makes substantial contributions to the activities and resources to the society. So I'll stop there because I know that is one of the things that we really need to thoughts. I know that he's not here, but there was a suggestion by, I'm sorry, I was getting some of these things really late at night, but he said there's an individual, an EMT from I think Malindi, who said that we should also include a life membership as the last category, a life membership. So that is something that I had already noted down and we will discuss. But for now, these are the categories that we came up with.
Yeah. Any suggestions? Or any comments?
As a member, do you feel that these categories, you will be able to fit in these categories and fit well, or do you think you fit in another kind of membership? I don't know. So his question is, who decides whether you are an honorary member, a sustaining member, and that is going to be determined by the National Executive Committee. As we go down to the officials, because electing officials is something that you're also doing today, we will see what a NEC is, who constitutes the NEC, and how we shall come up with that. But for now, it's the National Executive Committee that decides. Any other views?
I think the only other suggestion is for the student members, the people who are Kenyans and also undertaking programs outside the
country.
guys in Tanzania, Uganda, so I think it should be both Kenya and international. Then we also have the international members. We know the people who are practicing emergency medicine in the US, in Australia. We need to create a category for them as well.
Yeah, so I think we discussed that, and we were wondering, when you are enrolled and you're practicing medicine out of Kenya, are we going to, so these are Kenyans, these are people who are Kenyan by birth but have gone like to study elsewhere. That's what you mean, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so, and even for the international people, they have to be of Kenyan citizenship but practicing in other places in the world.
What about, we also have other non-Kenyans who are practicing here. How do you
provide them?
Will they be sustaining members?
What do we think? I think our one of, and I like the fact that you bring that up, because there was a lot of discussion around Emergency Care Society of Kenya. Is it defined by your citizenship, where you're practicing, and things like that? So I really want us to discuss it. I want your views on it. This is what we came up with, but it's subject to correction. So should we, under student membership, do we agree that any Kenyan student who is studying in various parts of the world that is not necessarily Kenya, should we say Kenya, or I don't know, I'll come up with a better wording. Should we open that up? So if you're practicing in Uganda but you're Kenyan and in emergency medicine program, then you're part of the society. Is that okay? So that's carried. Okay, then the second thing was, what about people who are not necessarily of Kenyan descent or citizenship but are practicing emergency care here in Kenya? Do we include them as members of the society?
Yeah.
Yes. We should, yeah? Membership fees. Like I said, this is just a draft and it is subject to discussion. So the rates of membership shall be as follows. The membership fee of ordinary and student members shall be 200 Kenya shillings only. Ordinary members and students shall pay annual contributions of 500. The fees shall be paid not later than the 15th day of January of every year. The rates, rights, duties, and obligations for honorary members and sustaining members shall be subject to the honorary membership agreement and the sustaining membership agreement, respectively, which shall be entered into between Emergency Care Society of Kenya and the honorary or sustaining member from time to time. The general membership may review the rates of membership from time to time. So I want to stop there because the amount was something that we just, like I said, it's not cast in stone. We just came up with that. And then we also need to decide, are we going to be paying our membership fees annually, quarterly? So those are things that we need to discuss. Yeah. And then we have discussed the various types of membership that are there. So do students pay less than ordinary members? So we need to harmonize all that. So your views, he does not necessarily, I'm not sure whether he's undergone an MA training in emergency care, but let's take that he hasn't. What category will he fall under?
This is indeed a new category. We just add a new category for them.
Okay.
I think I have a tiny little solution for
Please.
the MOs.
Tiny little bit, okay.
For the MOs and the nurses and anyone else who would want to join Emergency Medicine Kenya Foundation.
Emergency Care Society of
Emergency
Kenya.
Care, sorry. For us to know that you really want to be in this society,
Mm-hmm.
and I understand we don't have a med in Kenya, but we have AHA. We have other companies who are offering courses by AHA. We have BLS, we have ACLS, we have PALS. For us to know you're really interested in emergency medicine, you can give us your MBCHP certificate together with other courses, ALS, BLS, ACLS, ATLS by AHA. Then before MED comes or before you go to do MED, we at least know this person is really interested in emergency medicine. And they're ordinary members.
So just know most MOs actually have all those.
They do.
Just so you know.
Yeah, that's the best.
Yeah.
If I'm a MO
Yeah.
and I'm coming to you to register, and it doesn't have these papers, it means I'm interested in this society. So you shouldn't tell me.
Not really, because
So just come
no,
to register for no reason.
for MO's employment, for majority of the hospitals in Kenya, you cannot be employed without BLS, ACLS, and
No, but
ATLS.
I'm saying if yes, you have those papers, right? But you're coming to register in the society,
Oh, yeah,
meaning
true.
you're interested in this. You just don't come to register for no. You understand?
Yeah.
You're coming to register. It means they want to be here, so let them register.
Okay, that
For
makes
me.
sense. Yeah. Okay.
So I
Maybe
guess-
we can use the BLS and the CLS for nurses. I'm not a nurse, so I don't know how nurses.
No, nurses already have the emergency medicine. They have the
Yeah.
emergency
What is
course
that?
in nurses.
There's
Yeah.
a course
They-
in itself.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
They do. Yeah.
Okay, so this will hold. Any person who has been admitted into Emergency Care Society of Kenya, his or her name appears on the register of members, has paid all rates dues, No. Actually, I don't think we have. So we've said before you come and we register you as an ordinary member, you need to present your bachelor, your qualification papers. But if you're a nurse, you need to have been you need to, like, if you're an MO, you need to have BLS and ACLS. Does that cut? And
Most
if
doctors are saying you already have.
we'll already have them, but I just like
Yeah,
for
just try
yeah,
them.
I'm just going to write that down. Does that cut across for all cadets? Or just
Okay.
MOs?
I think that's just for emos
Just for
because
emos.
for the
Remember,
other,
this is a constitution.
Yeah.
It needs to
Oh,
be.
yeah.
It needs to be very
broad.
Specific.
yeah, and even
or
very
maybe
specific.
broad, and then now we can have bylaws.
Yes.
Or bylaws.
See, the constitution now gives you like the backbone of what you need to do, and then now as time goes, create bylaws which now are governed by the constitution,
Yes.
but then now they kind of like now make it more specific as to what exactly needs to be done.
Okay.
Because you can't have everything in the constitution, but what you need is just something broad that will guide on
Yeah.
how the society will run, and then on the nitty gritty, we can now have what you call the
Specific.
bylaws, specific bylaws for specific things that need to be done.
Like in the bylaws, no, it says a medical officer. This is what you need.
Needs.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense,
Because
actually.
if you put all that, remember, we don't want to come back next year and then start discussing the constitution again. It should be something that holds for a long time, like even up to 10 years or so.
So I think for now, let's just have those categories as open up student membership, as we've agreed, and I'll add a light membership for now. The next thing is the fees, membership fees. He had raised an important point. 200 is a little amount, and then someone counted and said that's enough. How much do you want to pay for membership fee? How much do you want to pay for your subscription, and at what rate? Annually, quarterly? So 1,000. That's a minimum of 1,000 shillings for a membership, membership joining fee. Any thoughts on how much we should pay as a subscription and at what rate? Quarterly, annually?
Annual 5,000.
Annual 5,000. Okay, every year. So we have 1,000 for membership and 5,000. That's for ordinary students. We need to discuss for students for the different type for the different categories.
The other thing is, I think we saw the sustaining member, because we are looking at other organizations to come and also support the society. So the budget will not only be met by the membership fee, but also we look for other organizations that can also come in and support the society. So, because the aim is, we didn't want to limit anyone from joining if you qualify as an ordinary member. And we thought the fee would be one thing that would limit people from joining.
So do we have to put the fee in the constitution?
Yes.
Can we, as I'm saying,
Uh-huh.
can't we have it that, like we say, we have membership fee. The thing is, we just say that, so for the rates, there's a membership fee that you pay when you're joining the society, and then there's a subscription that you pay yearly. But that amount will be determined by, we can say the NEC, after wide consultations, after having a budget, reviewing the budget and seeing that, instead of putting a fixed figure on the constitution itself.
Unfortunately, yes, I understand what you're saying, but for it, if you want the society registered by Friday,
There has to be a figure there.
It's mandatory.
Okay.
Sorry. There was a lot of feedback that I got, and I guess maybe I should have asked what kind of jobs they hold, but most people were within the range of 500 to 1,000 for joining. Actually, I think there were 3 people who said 1,500 for joining, and a membership fee of 5,000 every year. So I'm not too surprised that he pointed that out. But again, I am very cognizant of, I don't know. I know.
No, actually, here's the
For
point.
students
Because for
and
most
for the
organizations where there's different cadres, they actually do that. They subcategorize. So let's say if you're a doctor, we will expect you to pay, let's say, 2,000 bob. If you're a nurse, you pay 1,000 bob. If you're a nurse, you pay. Just based on what you said, like the scale of salary that you pay, as what we expect you to get paid, like professional, what's done. So at least with that subcategorization, people pay according to that. It's an idea.
So you feel discriminated upon if we tell you to pay a bit more money?
Not
I think the shift more
Okay.
like an equity issue.
Then that can work then. I think that can work. Keeping in mind,
Yeah.
If there's one thing I've really come to appreciate about this Emergency Medicine Kenya Foundation is that when we come here, you don't even know who the doctors are, you don't know who the nurses are. There's sort of that unity, there's sort of that oneness. Now if we start, you know, some people might feel
Entitled.
but I'm just saying, let's keep that in mind.
Okay.
Uh,
So we can have a membership fee for students and for everyone else,
Yes.
regardless of your
Yes.
your kind of
Yes.
what you're doing.
And how much did people spend in Ginger? How much did people pay? There's an upcoming one I've seen in Coast. How much are people willing to pay for that? If you can get numbers for that, that shows people are committed.
Yeah.
True.
There's 500 and there's 1,000. I have not had any other amount. And 200, sorry, and 200, which was put there by specifically me. I'm sorry. I guess I should have put 500, but and 200. So let's take a vote. 200 shillings membership fee. Bearing in mind what we need to do. 200. So there's actually not 200. Sorry, so 500 shillings by show of hands. So I will count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Sorry, 11. 12. Sorry, let's. Okay, so let's do that again. 500.
Let's put the nice.
Yes.
Yes, so I can see everyone. 500, yeah? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So 516. The next figure, do we have another figure between 500 and 1,000 before I go to 1,000? 800, nothing. Okay, so 1,000 Kenya shillings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 17. 17.
By one vote.
And that was just, yeah, sorry, my 17. So, is it carried? Is it carried? And that is for that's for students and for members.
Yes.
So students also.
Yes.
Wow, you guys. Okay. Next category, we need to define. How much are we going to be contributing and at what rate? So he had said 5,000. I only have a figure of 5,000 every year. 5,000 annually. 3,000 annually still or quarterly? Annually. 3,000 annually. So that's about 250 shillings per month. Any other?
2,000.
2,000? Annually? Okay. And it's payable not later than the 15th day of January of every year. Yes, Brenda? I think it's for both students and ordinary members. Let's for both.
No, I'm suggesting that the joining fee should be the same for all people, but then the annual fees can be different for students and for members. For ordinary.
What do you propose?
Okay. I'm not sure.
For students at least.
I think a student should propose.
Brandon, let's just tell us how much you want to pay.
Okay, 2,000 is fine for the year.
Yeah,
because
annual.
We're still thinking about we need to grow the society and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah,
Yes, as a student,
I agree.
comfortable.
Okay, so we have 2,000 annual fee for students every year. So can you take a vote? So 2,000.
For students.
There was 2,000 for students and 2,000 for ordinary. He said 2,000 for ordinary.
No, I said 2,000 for everyone.
For everyone.
Yes.
But okay, let's
Because
just.
if a student can afford 2,000, then that's okay. Then everyone can pay like 2,000. That's easier.
No, we're saying
No, they can do more. It's just that
Yeah,
can afford.
yeah, let's.
Yeah,
But the students are not going to be ordinary members. What
Yes.
changed?
Yes.
We haven't opted for the annual fee for the students.
They are not.
They're not.
We agreed they're not paying.
But we're not paying.
Yes. They're just going to pay to be members and then not pay again. Okay. It was not agreed. Okay, it was a suggestion. Okay, so can it be agreed upon? What are your thoughts? Yeah.
So, even with the, whatever we're going to contribute, it shouldn't be adverse. So, 2,000 is also a stretch, like, because I was thinking, okay, what is that?
Yeah.
Maybe it should be half of what
An
an
ordinary member.
member is paying in order to make it like a balance.
Well, my thoughts were, since they are not able to hold posts or do so much, I just figured by joining
Students have the right to come and attend meetings and stuff like that.
that they do, yes. But then they
So
cannot.
there's being members, you said the members.
Yeah, they're members in that they can participate in society activities, but not vote or yeah. So that's why I figured paying another subscription fee would be a little strenuous on their part.
Yes.
Those were just my thoughts. Yeah. But it's subject to correct. I stand corrected, yes.
I am a student, so I understand we have times where there's no cash, but I want to think broadly because we're doing it for the sake of the organization, and we don't want to strain the ordinary members or the National Executive Council, whereby you have to chip in your pockets and sustain the activities of the organized society.
Yeah.
Can we have a small fee for the students for the sake of the organization? I mean, I stand corrected, but can we have a small fee for the sake of, because we don't want to strain the members and the honorary members and
So,
everyone else.
It's okay, but how much do you suppose?
For students in an year, if a student can manage to get 1,000 shillings for registration, then 2,000 shillings isn't much, in my opinion.
Let me ask something about the student part. If I'm a student, can I decide to be an ordinary member from the go? Like, can I decide I don't want to be, I'm in school, but I want to be an ordinary member?
No, the constitution.
The constitution does not.
Yeah, no,
allow.
like I'm a EMT. I only have one qualification, right? Then I went back to school or something like that. But I want to pay ordinary. Can I pay that? Do I have to pay student fee because I'm in school at the moment?
The constitution.
EMT, by being an EMT, you become an ordinary.
So you
Okay.
want to pay, if I want to pay, why you say no?
Okay, I have a suggestion. Because the next two parts will and I only see we have an hour. Can we just pause, like can we just say for now, and this it's subject to correction, but let's just say students pay a membership fee, and then now we can discuss the student part later, because where we are going, it's a mountain. Kindly, thank you. So I'll go 3.4. The procedure for suspension and termination of membership shall be as follows. The National Executive Committee of Emergency Care Society of Kenya may suspend any member who contravenes the provision of this constitution or the rules made thereunder. Such suspension, shall not exceed the next general meeting of the society following such suspension. There's a problem with the wording there. If the suspension is not lifted by the time of the general meeting, the matter shall be presented to the general membership, which may recommend a reinstatement or expulsion. I think what we're trying to say is that the executive committee shall suspend you, and then until the general meeting, after which you might be reinstated or completely expelled, depending on the discussions held. Does that make sense? I'll redo the wording. So membership to Emergency Care Society of Kenya shall be deemed to have ceased if a member fails to submit his or her annual contribution here above stated for a period of 6 calendar months in any year. However, such a member may be reinstated at the discretion of the National Executive Committee upon payment of total arrears. That's okay?
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Why not?
6 members is a very long time.
6 months.
6 months. I suggest be reduced to 3. Somebody pays membership fee, and majority takes 6 months before they pay. That's the
This, and let me just explain. So we've said we're paying 1,000 shillings. So you pay the 1,000 shillings to become a member, and then you're supposed to pay a subsequent 3,000 every year between the 1 and the 15th. By 15th of January, you should have paid 3,000. So if by June, June, you have not paid the 3,000, your membership, that's what it means. That's what it means. So you're saying we should take that to March.
Yes.
That's what you mean.
Yes.
That's what you want.
Yes.
Okay, so 3 months. So I'll amend that to 3 months. Yes, please.
Just back to my point, so it's taking you back. But if somebody is suspended, say, 2 days before the AGM, then they are restricted at the AGM.
Yes.
That's what it means.
That's what it means. And being reinstated is not automatic. It will really depend on, it's subject to discussion. Yeah. 3.4, any member may be expelled from the membership if the National Executive Committee so recommends, and if a general meeting of the society shall resolve by 2/3 majority of the members present that such a member should be expelled on the grounds that his or her conduct has adversely affected the activities, reputation, or dignity of Emergency Care Society of Kenya. Any member may terminate membership with Emergency Care Society of Kenya through a resignation letter to the Secretary General of the Society. The resignation shall take effect from the date of receipt by the Secretary General of such notice or the date stated in the notice, whichever is the longer period. Any person who resigns or is removed from the membership shall not be entitled to a refund of his subscription or any part thereof of any money's contributed by him at any time. A person who resigns and or whose membership ceases shall upon rejoining pay a fee of 500 Kenya shillings. Yeah, that will change. That of course changes based on what we have discussed. Yeah, are we okay? Yes. Kindly let's. Yes.
We've not spelled out what the grounds for misconduct.
Yeah. That was because a lot of it was going to be determined by the National Executive Committee, and then also there's going to be a lot of discussion by members during the AGM. So it's important to
Bylaws.
It's important to know what misconduct is.
what would lead to
Yeah, because when you say you will be suspended on grounds of misconduct, yet you don't know what those grounds are, it will be good to
Dr. Gitel seems to say it seems to
it
think.
can be incorporated a little. We don't have to discuss it now, but
Yeah.
it will be
Okay. Yeah. Of course.
That's what I said. We'll need bylaws because I think now those can be stipulated there.
Yes.
In 3.46, I have a problem with the figure because you're saying a person who resigns or whose membership ceases shall, upon rejoining, pay a fee of 500 shillings. Why should he pay 500 shillings yet the subscription fee is 1,000 shillings, considering the fact that
This was what was there before. Yeah. So of course it now reads 1,000 shillings. Yeah. Now, by what should we discuss the organization or should we discuss the office bearers first? Office bearers, yeah. Then we go back to the organization. Is that okay, Dr. Jeremy? Oh, sorry. It's not Dr. Gitel. Everyone, is that okay?
Yes.
So we'll discuss this, go back to the organization, then have vote for our officials today. Yeah? Okay, so office bearers, Article 5. The office bearers shall be members of the National Executive Committee. So the people who are asking who are going to form the National Executive Committee. It's the office bearers. The following shall be the office bearers in the National Executive Committee. So we had we had President, Vice President, Secretary General, Organizing Secretary, the Treasurer, and members' representatives. The wordings are subject to approval because I remember during our discussion, some of us felt that we should have chairperson and vice chairperson instead of president. So I guess we get to decide on that today. So I'll read 5.1 and 5.2 together. So the tenure of office shall be as follows. So 5.2.1, the president, vice president, the secretary general, and the treasurer must be members in good standing and shall be elected at the AGM of every second year to be held not later than 30th June of the election year, provided that the founding National Executive Committee members shall be appointed by the founding members. National Executive Committee members shall serve for a term of 2 years until the next batch of officials take office. 5.2.2, any National Executive Committee member who will have served a complete term of 2 years will also be eligible for a re-election for a single further term. An elected National Executive Committee member cannot serve for more than 2 terms in a similar position, provided that for purposes of continuity, one office shall be automatically elected on a rotational basis and will not be subject to re-election during the electioneering year. Lots of words, but do we understand? Do we agree? Thoughts? Too many posts to start? I don't know. Yes, please. There are no posts to start. Yeah.
I think what they meant was the first office bearers
Yeah.
that are elected by the members.
Yes.
They don't have to be in any ad hoc or any other, but I think that's what they meant by the founding.
I'll have to get a better word.
But
I
I
see
don't know.
it brings a, yeah. It
I think
just
we
means
should remove that founding. So the brand can help.
Just open the word. Yes. Founding meant the first office bearers. It did not mean no one. It's just we'll have to get better wording, but bearing in mind, we just meant first. Yeah. In general and members in particular, shall oversee the planning and execution of projects and programs by the society. The organizing secretary shall be the head of research and organizational development committee, shall deputize the secretary general in all aspects, shall coordinate all content development, dissemination, scientific and medical affairs of the society, shall be in charge of social media management and related activities of the society's accounts, shall be in charge of strategy, growth, and development of the society, shall be responsible for the planning and execution of the society's activities and collective social responsibilities, initiatives, unless this responsibility is delegated to the Chief Executive Officer. Treasurer, is the last one, shall be the head of the Finance and Investment Committee, shall be the Finance and Investment Officer of the society, shall collect, receive, and disperse all monies belonging to the Emergency Care Society of Kenya under the direction of the National Executive Committee. He or she shall issue receipts for all monies received by him or her and preserve vouchers for all monies paid by him or her. All funds of Emergency Care Society of Kenya shall be kept in an approved bank or depository, shall keep accurate and verifiable books of account, financial statements, and records of all monetary and non-monetary transactions. He or she shall issue receipts for all incoming funds, shall prepare and present the financial reports at each general meeting and to the National Executive Committee whenever required to do so, shall be in charge of the collection, safekeeping, and accounting for members' contribution, shall oversee fundraising and provide logistical support to other committees and the society. Yes. So those are the office bearers. We were not sure whether there was need for a secretary general and an organizing secretary, but that's what the ad hoc came with. There's members who felt like some of the duties overlap, and so we should condense them. I am not sure whether that's the feeling that is there in the room, so I am open to your thoughts and feedback. Yes, please.
I agree with what you said.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, I'm saying that the Secretary General is the one in charge of the day-to-day running of the nation.
Yeah.
Yet to be introduced a CEO. What is the role of the CEO?
Yeah,
I think there are 2 levels.
I think we should have read the.
Let me give a scenario.
Yeah, as I get.
The management do not do the daily running of the secretariat of office. So if there is the office, then the CEO is in the office, then the rest you can call the board members. Right? So
The Secretary General is clearly spelled out that he's in charge of daily running.
Daily running, yeah, that is true.
then it's conflicting.
I think that came up when we were discussing the organs that we needed. The CEO is in charge of the secretariat. So he's in charge of the, how can I say, it's like, I'd agree, I think there are like 2 levels. So a chief executive officer is in charge of when we discussed it, I remember that we said the CEO is the person who's in charge of the secretariat. So the secretariat reports to the chief executive officer. Yeah, that was our thought process. But again, it's subject to discussion.
The chief executive officer that reports to the honorary secretary, administratively, all those functions. It's like they call the secretary general, like HR. Therefore, the CEO is under the honorary secretary.
I think there are 2
the
levels.
CEO does.
There is NEC, and then there is the secretariat.
Yeah.
So the secretariat is in charge. The CEO is the one who is in charge of the secretariat and reports to NEC.
NEC.
So I think we just need to be clear on who we want to be on the NEC, because I think we'll need a secretary. Then we can say who's.
Because an organization of emergency care, we had 4 levels. We had the General Assembly, which was the supreme organ of the society, and then a National Executive Committee and its subcommittees, then a Secretariat and registered branches. So under provisions, the General Assembly shall form the central organization comprising of Emergency Care Society of Kenya members, which is the supreme organ of the society. And its decisions shall be through resolutions at an AGM or a special general meeting. That's for the General Assembly. The National Executive Committee shall comprise of elected office bearers and other appointed officers in accordance with Article 5 of this Constitution, which is what we have gone through. Then on the Secretariat, headed by the Chief Executive Officer, shall comprise of members of management staff, members of Secretariat. So 1, members of Secretariat shall be appointed or employed by the NEC depending on the availability of resources and based on terms of service from their performance, contracts, and job description documents. Members of the Secretariat shall serve at the pleasure of NEC in accordance for implementing the policies, directions, or decisions of the NEC and the members of Emergency Care Society of Kenya at large. He or she shall come up with strategies on substantive matters that will aid in the realization of the society's missions and objectives. The Chief Executive Officer shall, in consultation with the National Executive Committee, the Chief Executive Officer shall be in charge of the Secretariat and be an ex officio member of the NEC, but shall attend all meetings in an advisory capacity without a vote. He or she is the ex-official secretary of the NEC and of all other bodies set up by the NEC. The Chief Executive Officer shall, in consultation with the National Executive Committee, the Chief Executive Officer shall, in consultation with the National Executive Committee, have the power, to employ and dismiss members of staff as part of the management team as necessary for proper discharge of duties in consultation with various committees at all levels. Then now the NEC shall establish or authorize the establishment of administrative territories to be known as branches. And this is subject to discussion. So we thought we'd have branches. And the NEC shall define the territory allocated to each and delegating such responsible as it thinks fit for the organizations of Emergency Care Society of Kenya and its activities in that area, provided that, 1, no branch shall act as a separate entity or a body autonomous from Emergency Care Society of Kenya and or its National Executive Committee. The branches shall be represented at the National Executive Committee by respective branch chairpersons. The branch chairperson shall be nominated by the branch members and be confirmed by the National Executive Committee. Branches shall not adopt a separate constitution from that of Emergency Care Society of Kenya. Branches will not be dissolved without consultation with the National Executive Council. The branch chairperson may establish rules and regulations for the operation of the branches and the management of their only in accordance with this constitution and Emergency Care Society of Kenya regulations, provided that any rules or regulations made by the branches shall that contravene this constitution shall be null and void. The branch chairpersons shall be members of the National Executive Committee, shall be in charge of recruitment or mobilization, development, and retention of members under their branches, shall represent their branches and execute additional duties assigned by the NEC by virtue of their membership, shall represent various cadres in the emergency care discipline and advocate for the interests and their constituents at the National Executive Committee meeting and other fora. Is that clearer?
So basically,
in
simple words.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make it in simple words.
Yeah,
So maybe it makes sense. What you're saying is NEC is a board of directors. Then below NEC, there's a CEO.
Yes.
And then CEO will employ people to do the daily activities, like employees of a company.
Yes.
So employees of a company, then the CEO,
Yeah.
and then the board of directors to oversee the CEO. Basically, that's it.
Exactly. And we also needed to discuss whether or not. And if we need branches, we need one in North Rift, in various parts of Kenya, and how do we define that? Yeah. I think after we discuss that, we'd have covered a lot of ground, plus the office bearers. So all that together. Do you still feel like there's an overlap of office bearers given what you have discussed?
There's no overlap, but rewarding so that they are not in competition.
Okay.
But in reference to the chair representing the branches, and the branches, the structure of branches needs to be defined.
Yeah.
Because it's only about chair. So how many branches, what if we do not have membership in those branches? Are they delegates?
Yeah.
Are they representatives? How many must they be to call it a branch?
So first of all, do we agree that we need to have branches all over the country? We agree. Yeah. So we will have branches. How do we go about? I don't want to get it by the constitution, but how do we go about? How about that? Do we go about deciding what is a branch? And also the other question was, I remember the EMTs from Mombasa were very categorical that when you form a branch in Mombasa, I think it was Hassan who was saying that they want branches based on cadres. Yeah,
As in
like
for
EMT,
for EMTs, for doctors.
for doctors, yeah. So so I'll tell him it was not.
Yeah, that one, no.
Yeah. I think it was because I think EMTs in Mombasa are facing a lot of challenges, and they need a body. They felt that they can use the society as a body to advocate for standardization of their pay and many other issues that they're facing down there. Yeah, that was his point.
Yeah, the society can.
You're not a union.
You're not a
We're not a
union.
union. Yeah. So he's saying we have branches based on provinces. So that's Nyanza, Western, Eastern Coast, Northeastern, Nairobi, Rift Valley, and Central. Yes, based on provinces. Based on provinces. Okay, and then we have 2 to 3. Okay, we'll decide on the number, but we'll have like someone from Coast who now liaises with the society. Sounds feasible. Yeah. Okay, I'm just trying to remember some of the feedback I was getting, and I think one of them was also on this issue of cadres. I'm sorry, I keep, and I'm sure I understand why you've shut it down, but is there a way to ensure that I don't know what's going down in Mombasa, but they've been texting me all through the week and say that they want EMTs down there to have a voice.
Can I say something?
Yes.
Very good. I think initially when we were arguing about this, doctors pay a special fee, EMTs pay a special fee. She said something. She said when we come here, we come as colleagues, as friends, as we're equal. Okay. So if you see Nairobi, we're equal, and then you start saying Mombasa, we're separating Nyanza, you just
Yeah. So.
no.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
There's something I saw about members representative, right?
Yes.
They can choose an EMT to represent them as their members.
The only problem is, I completely understand what you're saying. It's just that when we have a branch, and for example, we have a Nairobi branch, we said we shall have delegates or representatives from Nairobi branch, and that delegate or representative is going to be, how can I say, it's like representing all views. Yeah, and I don't, and I could be wrong, but when we're making the constitution, we were not going to choose people based on their cadres. We're just going to be a representative who can talk on behalf of doctors, EMTs, nurses, whatever alike. Yeah, that was what we thought. But now, given what you've said,
Also, the challenges they are facing in Mombasa, we are also facing in Nairobi. We also have pay issues. I'm not lying. We also have pay issues in Nairobi. We also have job issues in Nairobi. Like, but we are going to be a family, so we can't start.
okay.
Yeah. We also have challenges in Nairobi, but we are going to be all be one.
I think maybe also because the point of the society is not going to be to fight for better pay and things like that. The society is just to improve emergency care in Kenya. Now, maybe the guys in Mombasa, maybe what they can do, maybe they can now form a union of EMTs there and maybe register and now have a voice where they can actually do that. But the society is not going to be the one to do that for them. Yeah.
Their platform.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, please.
Okay, for me, what I wanted to say, first, we need to understand the objectives of the society. The issue of maybe payment, I think that's the work of an association.
Association, yeah. A union, actually.
A union, yeah.
So maybe if EMTs can form an association that will fight for their rights, it's fine. But for society, I think what society wants to focus on is the entire country, the EMS structure, the entire country. How can we work together from different fields? Yes.
Okay. And then there is their other concern was we should consider recruitment for crews to be in a society. I don't know what that meant, but
Just repeat that. Come.
let me just go. He was saying that as we form this society today, and as we're looking at the roles of the secretariat, that we should look at having standardized salaries for EMTs based in Mombasa.
Kids in the wrong.
That's a
Yeah.
union.
So,
That's a union.
so I'll let him know, given our objectives, it is not what we intend to do. Yeah, I will politely, I will clarify it for him. Yeah. So are we okay with our organs and the office bearers and what the office bearers shall do? I think we've covered pretty much what we wanted to do today. So there's Article 7, and then there's Article 8, and then there's still Article 9, trustees, auditors. I'm not sure whether we can cover all of it today. I don't know. What do we propose? Should we? It's already 11:30. We have exactly 30 minutes. And I also know that we were supposed to sort of elect the first batch of leaders, or rather discuss that today in the last 30 minutes. So I had shared the constitution on the group. I'm sorry for the ones who are not on WhatsApp. I will share it in Telegram. I'll have your contacts and then find a way to get that word out. But Brandon was gracious enough to post it for me. I don't know. What should we do? Should we just focus on the constitution now and then do it later? Or should we discuss going on forward what we want to do as a society?
I think, from what I don't know, maybe it's different. But if we take this form to on Monday,
yeah,
they'll tell you who are the names of the guys you elected. Because you say they ask for
we
the
need
names.
Yeah.
So you can't take it on Monday without names. So
Yes.
I think that should be like, unless you're gonna have another meeting, we elect names and then you take it another day. Or what's your plan on that?
We had, since we have everything ready, we were hoping we do that on Monday. We have the names and then we do on Monday so we can start society. Yeah. Yeah, because we had an ad hoc comprising of 5 members, and it was sort of like a steering committee. And this is thus far. We have reached and we have documents ready for registration. So we figured our work, given what you mandated us to do in Ginger, our work is, yeah, that's one of the things we wanted to discuss. How are we going to, that's why I wanted us to agree on who's a member, who's not, how much they're paying, and then also discuss when we're going to have our AGM so we can have our elections to kickstart the society's operations. So he proposes that the ad hoc names be forwarded as the interim, can you call them interim, yeah, office bearers, until a special AGM is instituted, which we will elect the new officials. So there was the AGM, and there was the special general, the SGM. And then we had procedures for quorums, for meetings. It's all in these articles. Yeah. I wish we had. Okay, I'm so sorry. We not all of you had the constitutions before, but like you said, we can discuss when we are going to have it. And I will definitely sit down fasting and ensure that this constitution gets to all of you, and then we can decide on the date of the special general meeting. But for now, is there anything that's, because if we don't decide on how to go forward, I guess we will remain at this point until our next meeting, because right now the only thing that's holding us back is giving this constitution with the names at the Office of Societies.
Maybe you can just brief us who the names are, what
Yeah.
categories they're taking, and then as you said, we can have them for the time being.
Yeah.
I don't think we should delay.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry. So we so this was in Ginger on the 2nd. So we have Dr. Jeremy Gitau, and then we had Nancy Chepchirchir. Nancy is a nurse, and she's based at MTRH Eldoret. She's a registered nurse. I'm not sure whether she has, but I think she has. She has, right? Yes. And then there was Carol Kamasi. Carol, I did not meet Carol. Carol was not physically present during the meeting, but she's a clinical officer with an interest in emergency medicine, and she was proposed by the clinical officers in the meeting at that time. Yeah, so her qualifications, I don't have her papers, but I'm told she works a lot in emergency care. And then, of course, there's me. So for me, unfortunately, I guess I will have to step down. And the reason why, there's conflict of interest because I'm a final year medical student. Well, I have 2 months to to go, but I guess based on the constitution, it knocks me out. Yes, and so that's it. And there was and then there's Brian Vita, who is a lawyer in his own right, and also his EMT. So those were the 5 names that were clearing. So given my so I guess if when we're submitting the names, I may have to politely take a back seat. Yeah. So those were the 5 names.
So who's post?
So those were the 5 names of the ad hoc. That was the ad hoc committee. Yeah, that was tasked with coming up with the constitution, running out with documents, all that. Yeah, so most of the work was.
The reason why we needed someone to run with it, that's why she was put there.
Yeah.
Which she's done very well.
I don't think you should step down. We can agree right now.
Yeah.
We can agree right now. We can vote and your name appears there. Yeah. All in favor? So your name remains.
Well, hopefully, if by the next AGM I will be done, then I guess I will have my MBCHB papers. So I guess I'll still not be. But I've done BLS. I've just not done. But I'm very passionate.
That's a good thing.
Well, so I guess we need to. So I guess even standing here, Dr. Gitao should be the one standing here. I guess I should have said that before starting the meeting.
No,
I apologize. I really apologize.
No, you don't need to. You've done it.
Yeah. So what?
So maybe what we need to do is decide when we are going to meet next.
Yeah.
Since I think
once we have the registration certificate,
Yes. Okay.
then our meeting, the first meeting can be called,
Yes.
where we now see the structures that are there, like bank account, that register, the kind of system that is going to be used, like a financial system. Nowadays, they are very basic financial systems that you can pay by till, so you can monitor the account from your mobile. Because here, we want to address governance and transparency so that members feel they are not mistaken. And maybe before you take to the constitution, the draft for registration, you can also refer to that. There is a sample society's constitution that you can refer to. It could be 1 or 2 things that are there that you might want to incorporate here. Or maybe Brian.
I think Brian
We had.
doing,
That's the first.
The other thing we did is we also tried to borrow from like what Uganda has a society, so we borrowed from them.
That
we were looking at other societies as well when we came up with this.
When we looked at what is required for a society registration at the government of Kenya, and we had all those clauses, and then now we beefed it up based on what we discussed.
That is where the president came. We don't want Kenya to look
Okay, so I think once Brian and I, because we probably have to have another sit down.
Sorry.
Yes.
When you take the constitution for registration, you must have office location, physical office location, and a postal address.
Yes. I think for now the foundation has been generous to host as a sustaining member. So that's why we were actually able to meet here, courtesy of the foundation. So I don't know, not unless we want to get another office.
So now this foundation has allowed the society to use the postal address
Yeah, the foundation has,
subsequent,
yeah.
it can be changed.
Yeah, for now, the foundation, unless anyone else want to open up their space.
Yeah, this is
It's okay with using the address.
yeah, that's, we're using this as our office location for now.
For now.
Yeah. Yeah. We're actually using this as our office location. Yeah. Okay. So I guess from here on, so the next step, I think we'll sit down, make the changes. It was very important. It was actually critical that we discuss who a member is, the membership fees, and the objectives, and the organs and the functions of office bearers. So we'll do that, amend it. I do not know whether it is necessary that we share it and get consent before taking it. I know that might take some time. Or do you trust that if we make the changes and share it with the ad hoc, we can take it? I don't know. Is it better, or should we wait for all of us to look at it, all of us to agree? So yeah, we'll take it, and then I think that, and yeah, then we can amend as the days go by.